Okay, so the Sephora sale is here and you want to spend your hard-earned money on actually good makeup. I think the best option if you want to splurge at Sephora is to find products that really work, that you can get a lot of value from. In terms of primer, this is what I stand by. This is the Milk Makeup Pore Eclipse Mattifying Primer. I swear by this. I have had this for quite some time, and this is the smaller version, I believe. It might be borderline unsafe at this point, but I don't really care because it still works, and it works wonders. So I've taken this on vacation. I've worn this throughout shifts when I really want my full face to last. I look flawless while grabbing vital signs, doing head-to-toe assessments, and getting labs, so you know how it is. I do find that it really helps dull down the shine in my T-zone, and it helps my makeup look flawless all day long. I almost feel like this is like blotting paper in the form of a primer. It's great. You don't need too much of it. I use kind of like a dime size, and I just kind of go in here. You want to just like kind of apply it where you need to, and then don't touch it, because if you mess around too much with it, I do feel like it tends to pill, because you know it is kind of locking in and kind of creating that barrier over your skin to prevent excess oil from coming out. You're one and done with this. You put it on and you're all set. So because I did the underpainting technique today, I did technically go into my bronzer moment before doing anything else. So for my bronzer moment, I have the LYS No Limits bronzer stick, and this is magic. This blends so seamlessly. It sinks into the skin. It works great underneath and on top of your makeup. I can't say enough about this. I actually kind of forgot I had this on while I was doing my underpainting technique, and I usually kind of like blend and stipple it out, and I had completely forgot to do that part, and it was kind of just sitting there on my skin, but it was still so emollient and so creamy that it still blended even though it was sitting on my skin for a hot minute. It has great pigmentation, lasts a really long time, and is very beginner friendly. I feel like if you're new to contouring, bronzer, even you can use this for contour, honestly. I know they're kind of different, but kind of just bronzer. I don't really do a lot of contouring. This is it, and it's phenomenal, and I can't recommend it enough. Comes in this like twist up packaging that I really appreciate, and this will last you a really, really long time. You don't need much of this, like I said. It's really pigmented, and I think especially if you have a deeper complexion, something that does have this amount of pigment and packs quite the punch would be really great. And because it's so emollient, I do think it'd actually be very compatible with more mature skin that has signs of aging, skin that has lines. There's definitely a fine balance with it. You know, you don't want to go too shiny because it does accentuate things, but this is just like a nice natural finish, and I'm obsessed with it. And I don't throw that word around lightly because, girl, I know it's way overused and all these influencers are obsessed with everything. Let's go into concealers. So I have two recommendations right here. I have the Yummy Skin Lift and Flex Concealer for Eyes and Face by Danessa Myricks, and I also have the Makeup Forever HD Skin Concealer. So this is going to depend on your preferences. I myself have dry skin, and it does kind of become combination in the summertime, but I do prefer things that are a little bit more natural, a little bit more radiant. So I do find myself most days going for this concealer because this is like a medium coverage concealer. If you need more mileage of your concealer, this is probably not going to be it for you, but if you're someone who wants to look like you woke up and you're just naturally flawless, because hey, I wish that was me, but you know, you already are naturally flawless, so don't worry about that. But if you want to step it up a little bit, this concealer is phenomenal, blends seamlessly. It, like I said, doesn't give you too much coverage, but that can be a great thing because it just looks so skin-like, and it truly takes your skin but better to the next level. And if you're looking for a little bit more fuller coverage, I would definitely recommend this concealer by Danessa Myricks. It has a little bit more of a puffy texture. It is definitely much fuller coverage, but it still blends beautifully, and it doesn't settle into any fine lines, even though you're probably like, boy, what fine lines do you have? You know, under my eyes, that's kind of like the only area that I do have lines because, you know, hey, basically all of us do. It has gotten worse since I've been a nurse, but this kind of just like tightens, and it's almost like spandex for my under eyes. It really just fills it in, doesn't crease, and I can literally like, you know, do everything in my power to try to make it crease and crinkle, and it's very resilient. Then I went into foundation, and to be honest, I like to go to my drugstore for foundations because typically, at least for me, if you're going to be going out and about, you might want a little bit more coverage all over. And for me, I find myself using foundation or skin tints and then just like a little bit of powder and then doing my brows and mascara and then going out. So I usually go through foundation pretty quickly, and I don't want to be spending like $50 every single time at Sephora for foundation. But for those special nights, you know, I do have a date tomorrow with my boyfriend. It's his birthday, and I'm definitely going to be wearing this. This is the Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I'm wearing it right now, and this is honestly one of my favorite foundations of all time. This is one of the most versatile foundations ever, in my opinion. And you can use just a few pumps and almost shear it out to make it look like a skin tint, or you can like use the big guns and really go in, and you can build it up to a medium coverage finish. This has a cirrus-like texture that is very emollient and allows it that flexibility to be light to medium coverage depending on how you want to use it. And I think that's what I really appreciate about this foundation, is because of how flexible it is, thus making it pretty user-friendly as well, especially if you're newer to makeup. I would say if you're someone who has oily skin, you might still really like this foundation, but you might just want to use a mattifying primer with this and making sure that you set the face properly and you don't go too ham on the skin prep, because honestly, like, I don't think you even need to use a moisturizer underneath this foundation. Maybe a serum and your sunscreen and you're good to go, because this is very moisturizing. When it wears off, like I've worn this to work many times, when it wears off, it kind of just looks like a tinted moisturizer. It doesn't get super patchy or blotchy. It just looks like you have very beautiful skin. And I am truly in love with this. All right, we're going to talk about blush, and I'm so obsessed with blush. If you've watched my previous videos, you know I like to go really heavy with the blush to the point where I'm basically like sunburnt. I am being really high maintenance and wearing 2 blushes today just because I wanted to see how they would layer on top of each other, and I do think they layered beautifully. But this is the Unreal Liquid Blush from Hourglass. Expensive, absolutely. You only need a little bit of this product and it stretches, and a little goes a long way. It has a very glass-like finish, definitely on the radiant/dewy side, but I do find that when you set it with powder, it does look more natural and seamless with your skin, and because of how emollient it is, it stretches so beautifully. Once I had powdered my face and everything, the blush did lose a little bit of its pigmentation, not too much, but I did want to see how the Makeup by Mario blush would layer on top of it, because I do absolutely love this blush. This is the Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil in Strawberry Sunset. Oh my gosh, it layered beautifully. This is one of those cream blushes that somehow layers on top of an already powdered face so well, in my opinion. This still does have a little bit of that glassy skin effect to it, but not as much as this Hourglass blush. Once again, a little goes a long way. This is very long wearing, and I kind of just love how easy this is to work with. You know, you just open this up, dip a brush in, go boom boom, and then you're all set. Another product just like that, but is a little bit more on the mattifying side and kind of has that balm to powder texture, is this danessa Myricks Beauty Blush. And once again, this is one of those products that lasts a really long time. I have worn this on vacation. I have worn this to work. I mean, honestly, I've worn all of these to work, but I've worn this in a really hot tropical climate, and it stood the test of time and weather. You can use this on your cheeks. You can use this on your lips. It's highly multifunctional, and it goes on very creamy. It does kind of have like that balmy, putty-like texture, but once it sets, it kind of blurs and it kind of becomes almost powdery in a sense, but not like chalky, crinkly powdery. I feel like it just seamlessly becomes one with your skin and kind of sets into your makeup. And I think that's why this is really, really long lasting. We're going to talk about setting powders, and I have 3 of them. A pressed one and 2 loose ones. So we're going to go over the loose ones first. We have the Huda Beauty. I mean, I think almost everyone has heard about this. This is the Easy Bake Loose Baking and Setting Powder. I use this underneath my eyes today because it has a little bit of that pinky tone that I feel like does blend kind of the hues between the blush and the concealer. I don't know what kind of magic is in that powder, but it effortlessly mattifies the skin without making it look too crinkly. I still feel like my skin has a very natural finish to it. I'm not the type of person to bake. I usually just dip my powder puff in, tap off any excess powder on the back of my hand, and then just lightly go in underneath my eyes. I do find that using a little less product does help with creasing, and you're also using less product, so you're getting more mileage out of your makeup as well. Another one I recommend that is also just as blurring, if not more, is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. This is in neutral light, and it has a little bit more of a yellow tone. If I've gone too ham with the blush, which I often do, sometimes I will use this to kind of dull down the blush, and I did kind of take a big fluffy brush and went in and used this powder to set the rest of my face. And as you can see, like, I do have like small breakouts right now, and it just like smooths the skin. It minimizes texture and pores, and I feel like my skin just has this nice like filtered and blurred effect to it. Kind of like the Huda Beauty powder, it mattifies a little bit, but not too much where you're not looking crinkly and like graveyard matte, if you know what I'm saying. This just works wonders, and I super love it. If you're someone who's into pressed powders, may I recommend the Tower 28 Get Set powder. Like the other powders I mentioned, it blurs, it sits beautifully on top of the skin, it doesn't look cakey. Because I'm running my gums and I'm actually wearing 2 shirts, I am like working up a sweat. I can show you. And even though this does have a slight pink tone in it, it is not too intense. So if you want to touch up, like I will right now because I'm like low-key working up a sweat, you you can absolutely do that. And it just melts right into the skin and dulls down any shine. So as you can see, this now is a little bit more dulled down than this side. So we're gonna even it out. Gorgeous powder, doesn't cling, really locks in your makeup, and can't say enough about it. I did go in with another bronzer after I had done, you know, my whole underpainting stitch. And this is the NARS Laguna Bronzing Cream. And what I really appreciate about this bronzer is it looks very, very natural. I personally do not use this underneath my foundation just because it looks so natural and it's not super duper intense. But if you use this on top of makeup, it works so well because you can easily build this up. You can like get that nice soft bronze moment, or you can go heavy handed, and it still somehow looks gorgeous. And as you can see, like around my forehead and a little bit right here, it doesn't look too intense, but it's still there, subtle, but there. But I really love that about bronzers because I don't want to go out in public and be like, oh my gosh, look at those stripes on your face. I want my makeup to look natural and blended, and like I said, you can amp it up if you really want to, but that's what makes this product so great because it's flexible. And I think flexible products and versatile products are actually the ones that are worth your money, in my opinion. You guys, this highlighter has a chokehold on me. This is a Glow Seeker highlighter by Anastasia Beverly Hills. And first of all, the packaging is absolutely stunning, but the product itself, just as stunning, if not more stunning. It is gorgeous. It somehow looks natural, but also like ethereal at the same time. I'm at a loss for words. This highlighter is gorgeous, and I almost kind of want to just put some on in the inner corner, even though I have a little bit of an inner corner highlight moment going on, just to demo like how gorgeous this highlighter truly is. Yeah, you see that? It just looks like wet, finely milled diamonds on your face. And holy shit, I may have went a little bit too far, but oh my god, isn't that like gorgeous? It like perfectly highlighted my inner corner, but it's not like, you know, wow, look at that small dot in the corner of your eye. It just like blends so beautifully. The way the glittery pigments in this product disperse makes it look so seamless. It does have a little bit of a base where even after like you've had like a rough day, the wind was blowing in your face and all those kind of like speckles of mica and glitter kind of fall off, you do still have a little bit of luminescence left. This is the type of highlighter that I'm actually willing to splurge on, even though there's so many great highlighters at the drugstore. We're going to talk about brows next, and honestly, these brows are quite bold for me. You might be like, boy, these ain't no bold brows, but trust me, if you see my other videos, I usually don't go this heavy with my brows. Well, maybe I do, and I'm just a little bit delulu, but I think once you see the insert that you do see my brows look quite thick in proportion to how wide and open my eyes actually are without all this makeup on it. And this is the brow product that I use. This is the Brow Wiz by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and I am absolutely hooked onto this brow pencil. I do have a lot of brow pencils that I like. I've used this for so long. I think I've used this since like 2020. If I really want to go in and have like a bold brow moment like today, I use this. If I want to have a subtle brow moment, I still use this because it is incredibly versatile. How many times am I going to use that word? But it really is. I fully stand by. That's what makes products worthwhile and worth your money. If you want to naturally draw in like strokes of brow hairs, you can absolutely do that. You got your spoolie on the other end. Phenomenal brow product. Wears a really long time. Great for pretty much any occasion, and absolutely will be buying that product until the end of time. All right, we're gonna go into eyes. And honestly, I'm not the type of person to be wearing eyeshadow every single day. Honestly, I wear it probably once every 2 weeks. So I'm not the type of person that goes out and buys palettes every other day. And also they're pretty expensive. This is the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette, and I am obsessed with this. Out of all my palettes I use, and I barely use it because you can see I barely dunked into it, but I have used it enough and I have worn it to work to say that I truly do stand behind this product. It is so, so beautiful. If you're looking for natural glam, I think this is where it's at. A lot of these tones are very skin-like. They complement people's natural skin tone hues, and the texture on these is immaculate, and they wear a really long time as well. I went in with this shade Mesh right here and kind of just like painted it all over my crease area and kind of fluffed it out to create a little bit of that cat eye lift effect. And then I went into Vague, and I wanted to add a little bit of that blushy tone to kind of match the actual blush that was on my face, and I packed a little bit of it on the outer edge, and I kind of sweeped it into my inner eye corner, went a little bit underneath the eyes with it as well, and then I went into the shade Whisper. And I will swatch these in a bit because I'm wearing another shirt underneath for that exact purpose. And I packed it on the center of my lid and kind of spread it out and gave it a little bit of that wash of shimmer. And then I went into Muse, which is like this glittery topper that is absolutely stunning and surprisingly did not flake everywhere, which is kind of shocking for something that has so much punch and a little bit of that glittery grit, if you know what I'm saying. But it's not like abrasive on your eyelids. It just spreads so beautifully over your lid space, and I am absolutely in love with this palette. So I'm gonna swatch and take off my shirt. Oh, so scandalous, right? I just recently got back into a gym routine, and to be honest, I'm not the most consistent with it. It's all about the intent. It's all about the thought. But by no means am I a super muscular guy. I mean, am I? I don't really know. We're gonna raise our chair for this one. We're gonna go into the colors that I use first. So we're gonna go into Mesh, this nice taupe shade. As you can see, beautiful, blends like a dream. Then we're gonna go into Vague. I need to use my viewfinder to see where I need to place this. Has a little bit of that blush burnish tone in it, but still nude because, you know, that's the whole point of this palette. So Whisper is more so like a wash of shimmer. It's not like super duper opaque, which I think is in its name, is like a whisper of shimmer, but it's gorgeous and it kind of gives your eyes like that glassy effect, if you know what I'm saying. And then I went into Muse, this middle shade, which is like that nice glitter topper. Isn't that just so stunning? And you can see it just has that nice shift that is just so beautiful. Let's go into Delilah. Beautiful. Worst swatching job ever. I barely do videos like this, but I'm trying my best, y'all. Miss Danessa Myricks, you're killing it. This is the Danessa Myricks Groundworks Defining Neutrals palette, and this is very multi-purpose, which is why I stand behind it. You've got a lot of shades to work with in here that can be very applicable to many different situations that you find yourself in regarding your makeup. And you have kind of like this putty like texture right here that is a little bit creamy, and then like a powder. I did actually use the shade Chisel today to kind of just define my crease a little bit, laying down that framework to then go in with eyeshadow. You can use this as eyeshadow as well. And I've used this as liner. I actually used it as my liner today, and it's just stunning and it doesn't budge. This also works so well for your brows because it kind of has a little bit of that pomade-y texture, that kind of like balm-like consistency that it has. And then you can actually go in on top of it with the powder and really lock in that pigmentation. Such a multi-purpose product that I truly do appreciate. You can actually use this for contour too, even like lining your lips if you want. I haven't tried that yet. Is this an expensive palette? Absolutely. But can you get a lot of use and mileage out of it? 100%. So in my books, it's worth it. But of course, it's up to you, the consumer, and I am a consumer as well, to determine if it's actually worth it for our situation, our life, our circumstances. Miss Lips, Miss Bouche. Is that word for mouth in French? I believe so, if my AP French high school self can pull through for me right now. Anyways, this is the Makeup Forever Waterproof Lip Liner Pencil, and I love this lip liner. For the most part, I usually just go to the drugstore and grab lip liners there. Not that I usually wear a lip liner that often. It's more so for special occasions. I kind of just put on a balm and call it a day 99% of the days. Having a product like this is super duper useful for me because it wears an incredibly long time. It locks into place. It has enough creaminess that you can work with it. What I really like about this pencil is it's very workable. It has enough creaminess to be able to disperse it and spread the color around if you so choose to maybe go in with like a lip brush and stuff like that. But it does have enough stiffness that feels like it's actually gonna last, and it does last. And like it's not gonna be constantly sliding around your lips, even if you go in on top with an emollient product like a gloss or a balm. I've tried 3 of the trending balms that are out there. I've tried Summer Fridays, I've tried Laneige, I've tried Ole Henriksen. Which one do I like the best? Ole Henriksen. And let me tell you why. So this has a nice creamy texture. It spreads like butter, and it just nourishes your lips so well. Your lips just feel so hydrated. They actually feel like they're getting some sort of treatment, which, you know, is in the name. And it lasts a really long time. And when I say last, maybe it loses a little bit of that shine, a little bit of that glop, but your lips still feel hydrated. Like you don't feel the need to constantly reapply this. I've gone so many days at work where I'll put this on at like 5 in the morning, and I don't actually reapply at all during the day because my lips are actually being nourished and hydrated and treated. So Ole Henriksen, you knocked it out of the park with this one. Setting sprays. And I have 2. I do technically have 3, but I have the L'Oreal version of this. This is the one size mattifying waterproof setting spray. It's just as good, if not better. If you can get it cheaper with L'Oreal, I'd say just go for that. I haven't tried it myself. That one does work though. If you want to splurge just because you like the pink packaging, I mean, you do you, boo. I've got the Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. I have this version and the original version. Both are fantastic. I actually prefer the vitamin C version just because it has a little bit more of a slightly more dewier finish to it, and it might just be marketing, but because I know that there's vitamin C in it, I just like the idea of there being some sort of skincare active in here. Is it actually doing as much if you were to apply a vitamin C serum? Probably not, but regardless, this smells great. It locks in your makeup, just leaves you with a nice, fresh, natural looking finish. If you want something cheaper that is almost just as good, the Sephora setting spray, you guys, the mist on this, do you see that? Magical. This is amazing. Locks in your makeup, is one of the most affordable options that you can get at Sephora. I think the Sephora collection is going to be on sale for 30% off itself. If you're looking for a really great setting spray that does lock in your makeup, does kind of leave halfway between like matte and skin-like finish, I would say that is a phenomenal, phenomenal setting spray. But in my opinion, all-nighter reigns supreme. School air, hospital air, outside air, this just works, I feel like, in almost every circumstance. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found my recommendations helpful, and if you've been following my channel for some time, even though my channel has been dying, which is totally okay because I do this for myself, and I think anyone who content creates should be doing that for themselves, because don't tie your worth to external validation. Hey, mental health nurse here. But I really appreciate you spending your time watching my videos, and anyone's support really does mean a lot to me. And especially if you're in the US, the economic and political climate here makes things a little bit trickier from the financial standpoint for most of us. Not the people that have millions of dollars in reserve, but you know, most of us. I think videos like this can be helpful because Sephora is a splurge. You're gonna go to Sephora to buy expensive makeup, but in my opinion, you should be buying makeup that is not just trendy, makeup that is timeless, that is versatile, that is multi-use, that you can get a lot of mileage out of. Someone who wants to spend wisely, those are the type of products that you should be looking for and investing in if you're gonna be purchasing like department level makeup products. But honestly, just go to the drugstore. I think dollar store even has great makeup if you're on a budget, because, you know, I'm just gonna keep it real. There are more important things out there than makeup, and makeup is this whole industry, and I get that, but the most important part right now is taking care of yourself, doing what you need to do to survive, because sometimes that's what it takes. And makeup can be a great outlet and another form of self-care and self-pampering that can really make all the difference in your mood. That's why I wear it to work, because work can be miserable, and just knowing that I have a little bit of self-expression and a little bit of like self-care on my face does elevate my mood a little bit, and those small things that make you feel better can actually make all the difference. So that was a tangent. Once again, appreciate your viewership, appreciate your time, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care and stay safe. Bye.